Hi folks, today we are going to learn about multi-digit division. So we're going to go up to numbers like, I don't know, 4,726 divided by 3. Things like that. This will be the last video on fractions or multiplication and division. Next week we'll review angles and shapes and some other kind of light math work. So I'm going to get started. Just as a review, 6 divided by 2, simple problem. 6 divided by 2, so if I make an array model, I've got 6 dots. I can make 2 groups with 3 in each group, and I will have used all 6 with no remainder. Or I can also think about this as 1, 2, 3 groups with 2 in each. If it's 2 groups of 3 or 3 groups of 2, depending on the situation, it doesn't really matter, so you don't have to worry about what that means, because it means different things in different situations. So 2 divided by 6 can be written like this. Remember, it can also, not 2 divided by 6, 6 divided by 2 can be written like this as well. 6 divided by 2, remember that's kind of a fraction bar, or 6 divided by 2. All of these things are equal expressions. 6 divided by 2, 6 divided by 2, or 6 halves, or 6 divided by 2. Those are all equal things. Let's try another one. Maybe where we get a remainder. I'm going to again try to get through this without making a 20-minute video. Let's take 28 divided by 9. This does not look like a fact family to me. I know that 28 is not a multiple of 9, and 9 is not a factor of 28 because my multiplication facts, this doesn't look familiar, but how many groups of 9 can I actually make if I had 28 things? Well, I can't, if I use this 2, I can't think about it that way. So in my tens place, I'm going to put what I call an invisible 0 as my placeholder. And now I think, okay, 28 ones. If I want to take 28 ones and divide them equally into 9 groups or groups of 9, how many would I be able to make? Well, I know if I skip count, 9, 18, 27. I can get to 27 if I make 1, 2, 3 equal groups of 9. So I will have used 27 of those things. And then my remainder is going to be, I'm going to need a kind of a +1 right here to get to 28. So I start with 28 things. I make 3 groups of 9 in each. I have 1 left over, and I'm going to write that as R1. Or, as we learned, we can write this as 3 and 1/9. The remainder is the numerator. The divisor, which is what this number is called, is the denominator. It takes me 9 things to make 1 whole group. If I only have 1, I don't have enough to make 9, so I have 1/9 left over, or I just have 1. Either way works out. However you want to put that on your paper this week is fine with me. I just want you to understand what that means in fraction form as well. Okay, so I'm using my notes here so I can stay on track. In school, we talked about something called index card division, so I'll do a couple of examples of that, and hopefully we start to see some of the connections that we're making between now and what we learned in the first part of the year, which was way back in November, December, I think is when we did this. So I'm going to use just regular white paper here for my index card. And if this big number kind of scares me, 872 divided by 2, I could think of that as also, what is 872 divided in half? But 872 divided by 2. 872 might be a big number for me. It might make me panic a little bit. So I've read the problem. I know this is 872. I'm just going to cover up these 2 digits here. And I'll try to do this to stay on camera. So now this problem just went from 872 divided by 2 to 8 divided by 2. Well, I know for my fact families that 8 divided by 2 is 4. And, okay, so what place is this 4 in? It's in the hundreds place, so I have 400. So the value of this 4 is 400. 400 times 2 is going to give me 800. So this is what's called the big 7, because this looks like a 7. I start with 872 things. I want to split them in half or divide them by 2. I can give, let's just call this money. If I had $872 and I want to split it between 2 people, I could give 2 people $400 and I will have passed out $800. And that would leave me with $72. Okay? So I have 72 left. Now I want to divide 72 by 2. Well, I don't know what 72 divided by 2 is actually, so I might just cover this number up, and this becomes, I've taken care of my hundreds place, so now I'm basically just going to move over. I could put a 0 here if I want to remind myself. I can basically just move over from there, because now I have an answer that I'm comfortable with here, to the next column, the tens group. So what is 7 divided by 2? 0, 2, 4, 6. I can make 3 groups. Of course, now this is 30 because it's 3 tens. So I could give 2 people $30 and I would have gotten rid of another $60. So I'm writing on this side what I'm doing and the process. 30 times 2 is 60. So that would leave me $12. I have $12 left. Now I've got to answer in my hundreds place, my tens place. I've just got to take care of my ones. So if I move this over, well, 2 does not divide into 1. I know that, and I've already taken care of my tens place. So if I move this over, what is 12 divided by 2 now? That's going to be 6. And I'll have 0 as a remainder. So here we have 6 times 2. So you'll notice 436, 436 with no remainder. So again, a quick review. I start out with $872. I want to split it with 2 people. I can give each person $400, 400 to you and 400 to you. I would have just given out 800. I'm left with 72, and then it's 30 to you and 30 to you, which means I got rid of $60. Now I have $12 left, and I would give 6 here and 6 to the other person. I would have gotten rid of another 12, and I'd have 0 as my remainder. I'm going to show you another way. This is what I call index card division, or the big 7 is often referred to this sort of method while you're tracking what you're doing. A quick check on this, see if I'm right, is 436. Remember, just like 2, well, 12 divided by 2 is 6. If I multiply this number times this number, I should get what is in here, right? 6 times 2 is 12. Well, 436 times 2 should be 872. So let's see. 2 times 30 is 60. 2 times 400 is 800. If I add these all together, I should end up, if my answer is correct, I should end up with the same number down here as I do, this is called the dividend, the quotient, and the divisor. The quotient is the answer, the dividend is your total, and this is how many groups or how many parts or how many pieces you're going to divide it into. So don't forget, this is why we did all the work with multiplication before division. It's because we need to know these kinds of things. 2 times 3 tens is 60. 2 times 4 hundreds is 800. So we always check our work, same way we did in 2nd and 3rd grade, same way we do in 4th grade. One other thing I'm going to show you is a different method to solve this. It may be a little more confusing, but you are supposed to understand this idea. So right here, I have 872, and I'm just going to start with my 800s, and I'm going to put them into 2 groups. So if I do that, I've got 800 to divvy up or divide up into 2 equal groups. I'm just going to start adding 100, kind of like I'm passing out cards or something if I'm playing cards, into 2 equal groups. So I got rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 800 right here. I don't have any left over. I got rid of 800. I put 800 in 2 groups. Now my second step is I have 7 tens, so I'm just going to do that. 1 10, 2 tens, 4, 6, and I can't just put number 7 over there because you can't do that. You have to split these up evenly or equally. So I've got 7 tens and I broke them up into 2 groups, and that got me rid of, probably bad English, but that's okay. I got rid of 60. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. I'll have 10 left. So I have 10 left from this group, and I've still got my 2 ones. So essentially I have 12 left to put into 2 groups. So I'll just do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So now I've gotten rid of my 12 essentially ones, because that's what I'm left with. So if we look, 100, 200, 300, 400 is what one, if this is back to money, what one person would get. She would also get this 30, and she would also get this 6. So 400, 36, and this of course is 436 as well. So this is a different way to think about how you're dividing things up. This way totally works. If you understand both ways, that's great. If one is better for you, use that one. This is a way that might be a little bit slower, but it might make a little more sense. If you always, well, to help myself out, I like to put things in terms of money because I can relate to that. I use it all the time. I understand it. It's in our base 10 system. It works really well with multiplication and division examples. There are, of course, plenty other examples, but money is the most common because when we get into decimals and things like that, and parts of a dollar and fractions with denominators of 10 and 100, it makes a lot of sense there too. So let's do another couple of examples, and then I'm going to go ahead and leave it to, let's see, there we are. Okay, so 2,415 divided by 4. All right, I'm going to try to make this a little quicker. Here's my index card. This is a big number. I don't know where to start. Division is the one thing that we never start in the ones place. Division is the only thing that I can think of that I've ever come across where we start actually in the farthest place value to the left. If I'm looking at this, we're going to start with this 2,000. Can I break 2,000 into 4 parts? Not really, because if I only have 2 of something, I can't really break them into 4 parts, right? Can't really do that. So I'm going to put my invisible 0 here as my placeholder, and I'm just going to move this over. Now I've got 24. I'll just erase that comma just for clarity. Now I've got 24 something. If we remember from last week, this is actually 24 hundreds, right? Now I've got, if I wanted to make 2,400, I could use 24 hundreds to do that. So now this actually looks like a fact family. 24 divided by 6 is 6. I remember that from my fact families, my multiplication table. Of course, now I take my index card away. I already know this is 2,400, so the value of this 6, ones, tens, hundreds, is 600. I know that 600 times 4 is going to give me 2,400. So, I start out with 2,415 things, or 2,415 things, and I make 4 groups, and in each group I put 600 things. I got rid of 2,400 things, and I'm actually left with, I'll just do this for clarity, 15 things. That's my 15-minute timer already. Okay, so I'm here. I move this over 1. Can I divide 1 by 4? No, I can't. And I can't just leave the tens place blank. I've taken care of my hundreds. I can't leave the tens place blank, but I also can't divide 1 into 4 groups. So I actually have to put a 0 here as my placeholder. And then if I move this over, what is 15 divided by 4? Well, I know that 3 times 4 is 12. And I would have a remainder of 3 in this case. So again, I'm going to write R3 or 603 3/4. It takes me 4 things to make one whole group. If I only have 3 things, I can't make a whole group. So I have a remainder of 3, or I have 3 out of 4, or 3/4 of what I need to make what would end up being another thing or another item and bring this to up. You know, if I added 1/4 here, I'd be at 604 even. I don't. I only have 603 3/4 of a dollar. So quickly, in terms of money, if I had $2,415 and I wanted to split it up equally between 4 people, each person would get $603 3/4 of a dollar. In money terms, 3/4 of a dollar is 75 cents, right? 25, 50, 75, 100. Well, 25, only have 3 of those, I'm at 75. That was my 15 minutes. I'm going to do one more problem. I think I have 2 more written down to do, but I know a couple weeks ago I made, I think, a 32-minute video or something. That was way too long. So, let's try... $7,426 divided by 3. And in this case, I am going to be able to divide this 7 by 3. So, 7,426. In the last case, I had to put a 0 up here, and I had to move and do the 7,400. Actually, I can actually use this first digit to divide into. Big number, I'm going to use my index card to cover up those numbers and just focus on what I'm doing in the thousands place. 7 divided by 3 is 2. I know that this is in the thousands place, so the value of this 2 is 2,000. So if I do that, if I start with this amount of money and I want to give it to 3 different people, I could give everybody, 3 people, $2,000. And I would have given out $6,000, and that would leave me with $1,426. Again, I've taken care of my thousands place, so I'm going to move over. Now I'm looking at 14 divided by 3 is going to be 400 divided by 3 is 1,200. So if I went around and I gave those people, those 3 people, $400, I would have given out $1,200 more in addition to the $6,000 I gave out on my first kind of handout. So now I've taken care of my hundreds. I'm going to move over 1 column. 22 divided by 3. I know I can make 7. And 70 times 3 is 210. That's going to leave me 16. I know that 5 times 3 is 15. I'll have a remainder of 1. This is going to be 70 times 3. This is going to be 5 times 3. So again, 2,475 with a remainder of 1. So if I want to check this answer, it's going to be a little tiny different at the end. I'm going to multiply this number without the remainder times 3, and I'm going to get 15. 3 times 70 is 210. 3 times 400 is 1,200. 3 times 2,000 is 6,000. If I add all these up, 7,425. I should be getting 7,426. And the reason I'm not is because I can't forget to add that remainder. If I add 1 here at the end, that will give me exactly what I have under this division symbol. Once you understand this method, which in my opinion is the easiest to understand, if you're slow and you think about what you're doing, and you especially think about the values of these digits, you know, this is basically just, what is 7 times 3? Well, excuse me, 7 divided by 3. Well, it's 2 with a remainder of 1, and that remainder of 1 is here, and I'm just going to get bigger and bigger. So, actually in this case smaller and smaller, but this kind of thinking is what we need to know for to be ready for 5th grade. So please watch the video. Let me know if you have any more questions. I would go through the example where I'm parsing this out. Maybe I'll do that, and if you want to stop the video, please do. I'm really trying not to make these super long, but this is kind of a different method to understand how we're doing this. So I've got 3 groups, 1, 2, 3. Use a different colored pen, and I start out with 7,000 things. I'm not going to worry about that 426. I want to put 7,000 in 3 groups. So I'm just going to hand out 7,000. 1, 2, 3,000, 4, 5, 6,000, and then I'm going to have 1,000. Actually, this 1,000 is the same 1,000 as here, left over. But now I've got 400, because that's my next digit over. So essentially now I'm taking 1,400. And I'm dividing 1,400 into 3 groups. I'm going to erase this. So if I've got 1,400, this is going to be a little long process, but I'm literally just going to count out 1,400s. That'd be 600, 900, 1,200, 13, 14. I can't do that though, because I can't leave this one have 500s and 500s and 400s. So equally, I can only hand out 1,200. I have to actually erase these because they don't belong there. I have to take this. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 1,200. And from 1,400, I'm going to be left with 200 that I can't put into 3 groups because 2 is smaller than a 3, so I can't break that up. So now I've got 200 plus my, so we did 7,000 broken up into 3 groups. We just did 1,400 broken up into 3 groups. And now we're going to do the leftover from this, which is 200 plus my 20, which is 220. Now I'm going to take 220, and the only way I can divvy that up now is I've got my thousands, my hundreds. I'm going to take 22 tens. 22 tens makes 220. So now this is why it's important to understand, like we did last week, why this can be built by 22 tens or 200s and 2 tens. They're the same number, the same value. So I'm just going to hand out 22 tens. So that's what, 16, that's 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and then I have a leftover here. So let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times 3 is 21 tens. And I've got 10 left over that I can't divide up into 3 equal groups. So now I'm thinking, okay, so this 210 right here, 7 times 3, is the same as this 210 right here. This 1,200 is the same as that 1,200. And this 6,000 right here is the same as that 6,000. I've got 10 left and 6 ones. Well, 10 plus 6 is 16, so now I'm just going to divide that up into 3 equal groups, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and I'll have 1 remainder. So this 15, 5, 10, 15 actually goes right there. That's the same, this is the same 15 right here as the 15 right here. Just I'm expressing it a little different, and of course this remainder 1 is the one I have left over there. So if I add all of these up in equal parts, this person gets 2,000 plus 400 plus 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 plus 70 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And lo and behold, 2,475, or 2,475 with my remainder of 1 that I cannot cannot divide equally. Again, I could write this as well, 2,475 and 1/3, because I have 1 out of 3. I can't make a group of 3 if I only have 1. So another way to look at it, again, once you understand one of these or both of them, it's going to all make sense, and it's going to be good. So please watch the video and let me know if you have any questions. We're getting down to the end of the school year. Next week again we'll do angles, and it won't be so much digit heavy math work. Have a good week, and please let me know if you have any questions.